Hello teachers, this is Becky. When the pandemic hit, I really wanted to make a video lesson, but I really had never done it before and I didn't know where to start. I couldn't even find any dummies books on this topic to help me. So through a lot of trial and error, I've learned a few things. So if you are a true beginner and you would like to start putting together asynchronous lessons through video or screencasts, then this is the video to watch. Welcome to a lesson about do-it-yourself video. You will learn techniques to help you record lessons for your students. Your learning target today is to be able to make a video lesson and start screencasting. Let's start with a review of some educational jargon and break down the terms synchronous and asynchronous. These words have Greek origins. The root word syn means together, and the root chronos means time. So the word synchronous means happening together at the same time, as we can see in these photos. Consider the Greek prefix a. It means not or without. So the word asynchronous means not happening at the same time. Students can be watching your asynchronous lessons at different times on different devices from different locations. By creating an asynchronous lesson, you also give students who need it the ability to rewatch, pause, or review all or parts of your lesson whenever it is convenient for them. You probably already have one or two of these devices. In fact, your smartphone is one of the most important tools for this job. If your phone was purchased within the last few years, it may have the highest quality built-in camera of all the devices and be the easiest one to use to record video. Of course, you can also record directly on your laptop with QuickTime. The video process is similar to the writing process or the design process. You need to do a little planning and record a test video. You may also have to redo and edit if needed. Finally, you will share your completed video with students. You are probably used to using your phone in a vertical position by holding it in your hand in the traditional way. Well, that works well for most things, but not for recording video lessons. Please consider turning your phone sideways into a horizontal position when you record a video. That way, your video will fill the screen when it is played on other devices. The first thing to do is decide how you will film yourself. Who will hold the device? It is possible to prop up your phone across the room or hold it yourself to take your own video like a selfie, but it will work better another way. This is the tripod that I use when I want to appear in a video. It keeps my phone stable and it doesn't damage it because it's specifically designed to hold a phone. I can lower it to set it on a tabletop or place it directly on the floor and extend it higher. Sometimes I tape a few notes below my phone to help cue me on what I want to say. My tripod cost about $30 on Amazon and it took only a few days to be delivered. It's lightweight as well as portable and fits snugly around different sized smartphones. And you can adjust it so that your phone stands vertically or horizontally. Now you don't have to have a fancy background. You don't have to use a fake one. And you don't have to worry about lighting if you can just go outside. Sometimes through just a little bit of trial and error, you will end up looking pretty good if you can find a fairly quiet place to record outside. The lighting may be a little more even. No matter where you choose to film your video, you must choose a spot with a lot of light. If you are inside, turn on as many lights as you can and open the curtains. It might even be necessary to get some kind of extra light, such as a ring light. Try to avoid standing directly in front of a window because the backlighting might make your face hard to see. Always do a test video to be sure you've picked a place with enough light. If you make a video outside, try experimenting by moving your chair or standing in different spots.
Here's an example of what it might look like if you record in the shade. This is another option, and maybe you would prefer to have your lighting more like this. It's probably still better than your house.
No matter where you are filming, inside or outside, sometimes all you need is a little additional light. I've got a small ring light that clips onto my phone without damaging it, and it's also called a selfie light, and it can be used for photos as well as lesson videos. My selfie light is rechargeable. I got it for $18 on Amazon, but you really don't need to get one right now.
This was filmed in my house with a very small ring light clipped to my phone.
Another important consideration involves sound. You will need to use your teacher voice. Your video won't be very good if students have to struggle to hear what you have to say. Just like you do in any classroom, you have to give some thought to your delivery. I think it's worth a quick review of things you learned back in your very first high school or college speech class. You will probably want to speak louder than you normally would in order for your device to pick up the sound better. And consider the speed of your delivery. Remember to put some expression in your voice. Your attitude will be obvious by the way you look and sound. Sometimes it helps me to remember to smile before I speak so that I don't inadvertently sound unhappy. If you are going to ask your students a question or to do something like take notes, don't forget to pause or ask them to pause the lesson. As you know, it's also better to quietly pause yourself to take a breath instead of stuttering, especially if you lose your place for a minute. And remember, be careful not to hold anything in front of your face or your mouth. Don't let a hat or something like that cast a shadow on your eyes. You already know that eye contact is important, but it's a little different on video. You need to be sure to know where the camera is located on your recording device. So if your phone is facing sideways, for example, you will need to look to the right or the left side. You need to record a trial video to make sure you are looking in the right direction so that you appear to be looking directly at the viewer. Props might keep things more interesting for your students. A couple of dogs from next door interrupted my recording one day, and I realized later that it might have livened up the video if I had continued recording. It might also be okay if a family member wanders into the scene too. You will have to decide how much of a distraction these things might be for your students.
Don't forget to smile, and you may want to consider holding some props. Here's some that I use. Compare and contrast. You can hold up signs, you can hold up objects. There's all kinds of things you can do. But it's important to appear as though you're having a good time and to remember to smile at your audience.
I use a small lapel microphone when I record screencasts. Even though my laptop records pretty good audio, I started using this external microphone because it was better and it helped me get rid of some of the clicking sounds from my mouse or keyboard. I can also use it with my phone or another device. This is the actual lapel microphone that I bought from Amazon for $36. I think it was a good investment, but it's not essential to get started. Mine is rechargeable and very easy to use. You heard me mention screencasts. Well, let's define that. A screencast is a video of what you have displayed on the screen of your device. It's like the smart board that you use in your classroom. You can capture clear video of anything you have on the screen, such as slides, pictures, websites, digital textbooks, or anything else you want students to see from your device. For example, the educational site Khan Academy shows screencast tutorials. I like to use Screencast-O-Matic to make my screencast because it's easy to use. There's a free version too that will help you get started. Screencast-O-Matic is recommended by Common Sense Media. So you will want to make sure that any screen recording app that you use is approved by your district. Here's why I recommend Screencast-O-Matic. After you create your lesson, you can easily send or post links to students. When a student clicks on your link, it will immediately open the lesson. I feel that the most important thing is that the screencast can be viewed on a phone or any device a student may have. Screencast-O-Matic has short tutorials to get you started, and I edit my screencast to include video clips. It's also possible to use your webcam to show you speaking at the same time you are showing other things on your screen, as I am doing now. I like the fact that you can save screencasts to the site and make them either public or private. You can start for free and record up to 15 minutes at a time. I also paid for all the bells and whistles because I enjoy learning new skills and having more options. When you record a screencast, you will have the option to choose to use the microphone that is built into your device or select an external mic. As I said before, you can choose to turn off the recording of computer sounds, and it will make them less noticeable most of the time. You may want to use some additional pictures to illustrate your lesson. It's important to be aware of copyright laws if you plan to broadcast your lessons. Now, it's easy to find copyright-free pictures. They're also called stock images. And Screencast-O-Matic has some of these that you can use. But I actually prefer to use Pixabay. It's a great site and it has a huge selection of stock images. Here's Pixabay, and when you go there, let's say you're looking for something on planets. So I type in planets and I do a search, and as you can see, lots of pictures of planets come up that I can download for free. Now, some of these pictures have more detail, and some of them are a little less detailed. Some of them are more fantasy, and some of them are whimsical. But this is an idea of how easy it is to find. There are 47 different pages here of pictures on planets. So this is something free that's very easy to use. Here's another point to consider as you plan. You can use many elements of your live classroom lessons in your recorded lessons. You will still want to have a hook at the beginning of the video, and it's also helpful to directly state your objectives as usual. The easiest thing to do is concentrate on your instructional input and modeling. And the hardest thing is to accept the fact that you cannot do immediate checking for understanding because you don't have any actual students sitting in front of you. You may be able to do a little guided practice or at least set up the students for an independent practice activity or assignment. Some kind of closure is also still needed, however. For example, you might be able to wrap things up and do a virtual exit ticket by directing students to complete an online quiz maybe that you created using forms on Office 365. I hope you enjoy working through the steps of the video process to make a great video lesson. It's important to keep everything as simple as possible since you are probably going to have to wear many hats, but it gives you complete creative control. Now, in addition to serving as your own script writer, costume designer, and makeup artist, you will be controlling the camera, the lights, and the set design. You will be in charge of sound engineering and responsible for production and editing. Go easy on yourself as you take your turn on the other side of the camera.
I've got to tell you that the first time that you see and hear yourself on video, it may be a bit surprising. But just remember that your students want to see their teacher, and that's who you are. They don't need to see a celebrity. When I think back at some of the most famous teachers, say Mr. Rogers, he wasn't the most stylish man, but he certainly was very popular. Even when I think back to the old movie with Mrs. Doubtfire, she was popular too. So go ahead and be inspired to attempt to make your very first video or screencast asynchronous lesson.